Good morning. It's April 11th, 2018. The day's finally here. I'm with Martin over in Germany. Martin runs our internal software development and license advisory group for SAP. Martin, thanks for joining me.
Hello, good morning.
We know that the policy change from SAP regarding indirect access, or what is now called digital access, that's been rumored to come out around mid-April. It's finally here. And we want to walk you through some of the changes and essentially just share our opinion on where we think we're going and what the next 6 to 12 months are going to look like. So with that being said, we have the white paper open right here. Why don't we take a look at some of the major changes compared to the white paper that was put out by SAP last year. So maybe I'll just start with the biggest change, which is we finally seen some additional clarification around what constitutes indirect access or digital access in the shape of documents being created through external applications. Is that right?
If you switch to the new model, then you have this outcome-based pricing, and now they call the indirect access the digital access. Okay, and there is a lot of clarification because you will only pay if you generate or create certain documents, not if you only alter or change them and they have already been created in the system by someone who has a license or with a license process. As far as I understand, if you stay in your current contract and you have the choice to do nothing, it's explicitly mentioned in the document, you're still going to live with the actual situation. You have to move on to the new one.
Yeah, essentially you still live with some risk, right? So if you're an existing customer, which, I mean, let's face it, the majority of companies that use SAP, they have been a long-term customer. So if you're in that bucket and you don't do anything, that still actually begs the question how SAP will treat you if you just don't do anything. Now we have 9 document types, and then also we're only looking at the creation of these documents. Keep in mind that these rules will only apply if you choose to migrate over to this new licensing policy, which I just need to stress this right now, might also override certain other contractual obligations or benefits that you have negotiated in the past. So definitely compare the two scenarios. SAP has mentioned there will be a tool that can assist you in the calculation of what the potential license cost might look like under this new document-based policy. But yeah, my question still is pricing. What's this going to cost? When is that tool coming out that SAP has mentioned in the article? And then also, how is SAP going to treat existing customers that actually don't do anything right now, right? So those are some of the questions I have. How do you see it?
It's something that is ready for IoT, right? So any type of digital business where you cannot follow who has been the user who created it, there's no clear rule. What is right now missing, it's brand new, it's just from yesterday, and we're going to see all the definitions later on, is how are the document types described? What's the definition? And we see some here. It's sales, invoice, purchase, service maintenance, manufacture, and time management. What's the definition? And then also material and financial, which are the ones that are weighted less. They're also mentioning discounts, volume discounts if you have them, what's the prices. For existing customers, there's now a big task that they have to do. You will have to compare the old situation. You can still do nothing, whatever you purchased, you own, or you can migrate. And you can either migrate within the old ECC world, or the contract conversion is you move on to S/4HANA. So choices to be made. I think it's going to be a big influence, especially for the companies that are integrated a lot with their SAP, and the choices are there. But the pricing model itself now is clearly for the direct usage, nothing changes. It's going to be user-based licensing. But on the other side, 9 different documents. Now, before you had different user types, you have different document types.
Yep.
Where do they belong to? That's going to be very interesting. What's the result of it?
Yep, I agree with you. And I think what's interesting is that now we have a little bit more transparency into what all of this means and how customers can potentially react to indirect access exposure. So it's out there. I think that SAP will now take the stance and say, we've defined it so that customers can no longer say, hey, I've never heard about this. So that's no longer going to be a defense. So I'm with you. I think the onus is now really on the customer to look at these options. And let's recap real quick, right? So for those of you out there who run the software asset management program or who are responsible for the license management, we now essentially have the old licensing metrics, which is a combination of the named users and engines, and SAP calls this order-based in the old model. And now we're also introducing the option of a license exchange, which I actually think is a good opportunity to investigate what you own, what you've purchased in the past, whether you have some shelfware, and then really investigate whether you want to convert some of those licenses over to this new document-based language. Keep in mind, I said earlier, you need to investigate what that new contract will look like, because I would assume, just from past experience, if you do a license exchange, if you're doing a contract conversion, you're obviously not just going to get these new 2 or 3 paragraphs that describe the document-based licensing. There's probably also going to be other language that SAP will introduce. And the software use rights document that you can actually pull up, it's public, that's changed dramatically over the last 10 years. So authorization-based licensing, I don't know if that's something that you want to just accept blindly. So that is my sort of recommendation. Start with a thorough review on how much this could cost you, and potentially it will cost more, potentially it will let you save money and reduce risk, but also understand what the contractual implications are when you're considering a license exchange or even a contract conversion.
Yeah, we're going to monitor very closely the details that are yet to come to this document. And if you out there want to follow that, keep on looking on blog.voquz.com. And we're going to post there whenever there's some updates, some meaningful, and keep you up informed.
Last 2 points I want to add here. I've looked at the examples, and SAP talks about 9 document types. I can actually only count 8. So if you've read the white paper and you find the 9th, give me a call or drop me a comment. I'm only counting 8. And then the
question is the empty line. It has already a multiplier, but it's the empty line.
It's the mystery document, right? There needs to be some flexibility, right? But, to make a long story short, SAP said they are going to split the sales and the audit teams so that there's no longer the perceived incentive for SAP to sell additional licenses, and sometimes maybe use the indirect access topic as a driver of those sales. So as Martin said, we'll keep you posted on the topic. This is the beginning of a longer term conversation, and I'm personally excited to see what the customer response will be and where all of this will take us under the umbrella of proactive license management.